Well, Joe, you have a column in the Washington Post this morning that really looks at the gravity of the situation from 20,000 feet. It echoes some things my father was telling me before he passed away. You write in part this: Trump is harming the dream of America more than any foreign adversary ever could, in which he charts the course from Bush to Obama to Trump. This is your writing, Joe. This is describing your column. And a country that went from a huge surplus to racking up unparalleled deficits while squandering moral leadership. And here's the column. 16 years of strategic missteps have been followed by the maniacal moves of a man who has savaged America's vital alliances, provided comfort to hostile foreign powers, attacked our intelligence and military communities, and lent a sympathetic ear to neo-Nazis and white supremacists across the globe. For those of us still believing that Islamic extremists hate America because of the freedoms we guarantee to all people, the gravest threat Trump poses to our national security is the damage done daily to America's image. As the New York Times' Roger Cohen wrote the month after Trump's election, America is an idea. Stripped freedom, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law from what the United States represents to the world, and America itself is gutted. Osama bin Laden was killed by SEAL Team 6 before he accomplished that goal. Other tyrants who tried to do the same were consigned to the ash heap of history. The question for voters this fall is whether their country will move beyond this troubled chapter in history, or whether they will continue supporting a politician who has done more damage, and listen to this, more damage to the dream of America than any foreign adversary ever could. Couldn't agree more, Joe.
So, Willie, I love that line, that Roger Cohen line, America is an idea. And if you strip America of its ideas, forget about knocking down buildings in the financial district, forget about running planes into the Pentagon. Those are tragedies, but those tragedies bring us closer together. America is an idea. You gut America of that idea. That's when you do the most harm to America. Roger Cohen wrote that right after Donald Trump was elected, and unfortunately 18 months later, across the world, you have people looking at a country that is saying they want to ban people from coming to America because of their religion. You have just this week Brett Kavanaugh, who wants to be on the Supreme Court, refusing to answer whether people should be banned from coming to the United States because of their race in his reading of the Constitution. And the accumulation of that, the retweeting of neo-Nazi videos, Charlottesville, I mean, I could go on and on. What he said about majority black countries. That is tearing more at the fabric of America than attacks on the Twin Towers did. We rebuilt from that. We became stronger because of that. But this seems to me a far graver threat to the idea of America.
Well, bin Laden's miscalculation always that he was going to divide us with those attacks that day 17 years ago. And as you point out, he made us closer than ever, almost closer than ever. And David Ignatius, you know, Donald Trump's election was not an incident. It was an election. It was a free election, and 63 million Americans went out and voted for Donald Trump. He has capitalized on something that perhaps was beneath the surface for a long time and brought it up to the surface, and sought aggressively in many ways to divide us. And he succeeded to some effect, but I would also argue that he's brought out the best of America, that he's brought out people who are more vigilant now, people who know that they need to go out and vote, people who are aware that there's a divide in this country. So it's certainly not a lost cause. I don't think Joe or anyone else is suggesting it is, but he's definitely changed the country in just 18 or 20 months.
It is a different country. On this 9/11 anniversary, we think about the qualities that pull the country together, this sense of resilience, of unity, of commitment. I think people understood in a special way on this day in 2001 what America was. And Trump, as Joe said, has gone at some of those qualities that bind us together, make us a generous country, make us confident about the future. Joe's, Pete, I don't want to suck up to the boss here, but I thought, Joe, you just hit it exactly right in saying, remember what America was like on September 10, 2001, before this happened. Remember the way in which we confidently were such a dominant force in the world. And we'd have to say that we're not just because of Donald Trump, because of other bad decisions, because of the decision to invade Iraq, most obviously. We're a country that got disoriented and lost our way, and now find ourselves in this place. But I thought, you know, going back to this central event in most of our lives was really helpful.
Well, David, I'm glad you brought that up. Mika, of course, read the punchline, but the column is about actually not just what's happened over the past 18 months, but unfortunately 16 years of missteps. You did have George Bush's tragic overreach in Iraq, which put elected Barack Obama, and then you had many people believing, including myself, Barack Obama putting us too much into a defensive crouch, whether it was the red line that was crossed or the rise of ISIS in a vacuum or the failure to get involved in a Syrian civil war where 500,000 people died. It seems that one mistake led to another mistake and then led to the election of Donald Trump. And people forget, on this morning 17 years ago, we had a $135 billion surplus. Our GDP was 10 times that of China's. Our GDP was 40 times that of Russia's. And while we've been fighting wars and occupying countries for 16 years, the Chinese have been making strategic economic inroads in Asia, in Europe, in Latin America, in Africa. This has not been, if you look where we were 16 years ago and where we are today, for a lot of reasons, some of which have absolutely nothing to do with Donald Trump, we have some catching up to do.
It's a baseline for us. This anniversary every year is something I think that ought to make us ponder what is American strength and how do we build and rebuild it. You know, I wonder, this may sound strange, what people are talking about today in the White House. I hope they're thinking, you know, back to that day. Donald Trump remembers it. It's a powerful moment for him as a New Yorker. But it should be for all of us.
All right, we're going to be covering that throughout the morning.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.